You understand that there are so many phenomena. So if things go out of control and overwhelm, you got to get that control by your spiritual practice, get your strength, and then deal it more objectively. If you're overwhelmed by your situations, you are not qualified to deal your situations. Chapter 13, text number 8 to 12. So we discussed the last time, Krishna is speaking about Kshetra, Kshetragya. That is the first aspect of knowledge. What is the Kshetra? The field of activities. What is the field of activities? The body. And who is the knower of the field?
The soul.
The soul. Or one who cultivates that field is the soul. So depending on your lifetime, what cultivation you do in that field, accordingly the fruits will come out in the next season. Right? Karma, phala. आजीवन जो कर्म किए हैं, जिस बीज को बोके इसकी फसल की है, उसी पेड़ या पौधे का फल हम ग्रहण करेंगे अपनी अगली यात्रा में. Make sense? It's like, so body yatra mein. Yes. So in this life, this is the field, the mind, the intelligence, the ego, the senses. We are cultivating certain qualities, cultivating certain aspects, and how you till this field and how you put the seed. And what are the seeds? The seeds are the desires. You need a seed to, put it in the ground and grow that plant. So depending on what quality of desires and what desires you put in this field, accordingly those kind of plants and trees will come. If you put a seed which is going to bear thorns, you cannot expect mangoes to come. You put a mango seed, mango will come. Right? So that is called Kshetra, and the knower or the cultivator of the field is called Kshetragya. Agya means knower. And we discussed last time how the knower of the field, we are the knower of the field, but we know our field to some extent. We don't completely know the field. Right? So there is one more Kshetragya who knows all fields, and he knows to the wholest detail. The super soul, who's called the Kshetragya. He is the next Kshetragya, but he actually knows everything. He knows about us more than we do. Because we forget our past lives, we forget our past impressions. But Krishna knows all of them. Krishna tells Arjuna, right? I remember all the births we have been together, but you don't. That is the difference between you and me. Why? Because you change bodies, I don't change body. Krishna is the self same. He doesn't change bodies. But we keep changing bodies. So this was the first aspect of knowledge that was spoken here. They're spiritual. They're not body. They're not material. This we are talking within the material framework. Right? So this whole material world is made up of Mahat Tattva. What is it made up of? Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva means 24 elements. So turn to verse number 6 and 7. So all the Mahat Tattva is mentioned here. So we usually say there are 5 gross elements, Pancha Mahabhut, and 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. But the advanced understanding Krishna is giving here, there are not 8 elements, there are 24 elements that constitute this creation. Right? So what is that? Someone read? Yes, Madhavan? Okay, yes. बुद्धिरव्यक्तमेव च इन्द्रियाणि दशयकं च गोचरेन्द्रियगोचर चाद्वेष सुखं दुःखं All right. Yes, Shivan Prabhu, read the translation. Thank you. The five great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the ten senses, and the mind, and the five sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and the conviction. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activity and its action. Yes. So all these aspects are the elements, and there are interactions also: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, life symptoms, the convictions. These are all the field of activities, right? So there are so many aspects which work together to be what we are. I'll have to read the translation. I also immediately. Elements, false ego, intelligence, yes. The unmanifested. The unmanifested, I will have to read. Huh? Okay, it's written here in the translation. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of the three modes of nature. So the three modes of nature in an unmanifested way. Yes. So these three modes are activating. Like all the elements are there, but depending on the climatic conditions of Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun, our whole field of activities changes. This the next whole chapter is on three modes. How Rajogun, Sattvagun, and Tamogun affect us. Like suddenly we become enthusiastic, and suddenly we feel discouraged and become dejected. Oh, why am I doing it? So there is a shift of various modes. Based on the modes, the moods change, right? So we have to understand. So these interactions, the more you understand, you can understand the mechanics of how the phenomenon of various activities are happening. So the more you understand, the more you can deal with the situations and not get overwhelmed by the situations, right? The more we are attached to the bodily identity and the mental identity, there will be a lot of pain. The more you understand them and learn how to deal with them, you can tolerate and function within that situation. For most people who do not understand that they are separate from all this, they are so overwhelmed and dejected that they cannot even lift themselves up to function. Then they say, मैं डिप्रेशन में चला गया. मतलब आप तो वही हो, मतलब धरती तो गड्ढा नहीं बन गई कि आप उसमें गिर गए. But mentally I have gone into a thought and I'm not able to come out of that overwhelming feelings, right? So when we are very deeply attached to the situations and to aspects, it is difficult for us to come out. But then when you understand that actually I'm separate from that, so the moment you understand I'm separate from that, what do? You get detached. The moment you get detached, you will see you get strength. Number one. And then you get attached to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then you start nourishing yourself, and then you see you start having capacity. And sometimes even that may be difficult. So what should we do? go into the association, take others' help to rejuvenate us by the spiritual practice. That is why association of devotees is very, very important, because we get rejuvenated in the association and then we get our Shakti back. It's like you get your handle back, right? So the more you will understand this 13 to 18 chapter, the Jnana aspect of yoga, you can better, because what happens, we want to do bhakti and we don't want bhakti to break. But there are so many situations in our life which cause that break. So the more these phenomena are understood, you can be more dealing with them without affecting your own self. That is how these chapters are very important, right? Like here it says, you see, the desire, the hatred, the happiness, the distress, the convictions, all these things we need to deal with, and these are all the field of activities, right? So all that when you understand and deal with, then you can function very well. So it says the 24 elements are 5 great elements, then false ego, intelligence, and the mind. That makes it how many? 8. Then there are 10 senses. How many senses? 10 senses. 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses. What are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses? Huh? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, twacha. These are the 5 senses. And the 5 working senses is hands, legs, mouth, anus, and rectum. These are the 5 working senses. So these 10 senses also are part of the elements. That means these senses are not what they're talking about. In every aspect, these uh, these tattvas are there. The sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of this, it's all there in all the elements. Now that's a very complex subject of how all of them are functioning together to make it happen. But this is how the whole subtle and gross things function together.
Even you don't desire something and you are doing something, it doesn't come. I'm not saying it comes to you.
You don't desire and it comes to you?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying if you don't desire something and still you have done something, but you don't desire, then why it is what is being called it?
Sanskar is pushing you from within though you don't want it. That is because of our previous sanskars.
Is subtle
Impressions.
impression. It's something,
Those-
some subtle
Those impressions are there
desire
which
was there.
make you. It is like, we have previously cultivated them so much, and now previous lives. So now those impressions are there. So it will take time for us to get free of them. So when the impressions affect you, don't become overwhelmed. Don't call yourself bad. See, this is very important, that you have to look at yourself more objectively than subjectively. If you give yourself a label, कि मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं वैसा हूँ, that also puts you down. See, obviously you should take responsibility. I'm not saying that don't take responsibility, but don't hook yourself with your failures and with your problems. Make sense? Be kind to yourself and move further. Be kind to others, but before that, be kind to yourself. Many times we are not kind to ourselves. That's why it becomes difficult to be kind to others. Because we have been hard with ourselves, we become hard with
what you don't have, you can't get.
others. So, you understand that there are so many phenomena. So, if things go out of control and overwhelm, you got to get that control by your spiritual practice, get your strength, and then deal it more objectively. If you're overwhelmed by your situations, you are not qualified to deal your situations. Make sense what I'm saying? It's like if a person is falling with gravity, it is possible for him to help himself. So similarly, when you're put into situations and overwhelmed, it's like that gravity. Physical gravity, the mental gravity is much more powerful than the physical gravitational aspects. We take it very lightly. Actually, it's more influential, right? But what is the antidote of those overwhelming aspects? To detach and then act, because we're already in the push of those negative vices.
Detach and accept.
So we need, yes, the detachment we need so that we can go to Krishna. If you identify with that situation, you will not want to go to Krishna. So at least we identify, nahi, main to Krishna ka das hu, I have a separate existence, and then you immediately get to your spiritual practice. Because Daivi Hesha Gunamai, mind and Maya is empowering, so you cannot just say no by the figment of your thoughts and determination. Not possible. अर्जुन नहीं कर पाया तो फिर हम किस खेत की मूली हैं? Not possible. Brahma ji, all the great personalities get affected when influenced. So we are getting influenced, but that doesn't mean we will just allow ourselves to be influenced and say, ठीक है यार, ब्रह्मा का हो गया, इंद्र का हो गया, तो हमारा भी चलेगा. नहीं, that is not an excuse. But then, मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां चरन्ति. You get to your identity and start nourishing yourself. Get yourself in the association, chant the holy name, connect to the Lord, and you will see you can gather up that capacity by guidance, by dealing, like that. So, like that, we have to deal our situations and then come out of it. And it takes practice, it takes time.
This question has been regularly been told by everyone. Am Brahmasmi. We are the same God. We are the same.
Aham Brahmasmi means I am that. I am that Brahman. That means I am the energy of the Lord. I am Krishna's part and person. See, all these verses, the infinitesimal part of Krishna, Amsha of Krishna. Mamai Vamsho. Later we will come. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke. मैं ये सब जीवात्मा मेरे अंश हैं. Where is Krishna saying I and Jivatma are the same? Nowhere. So people have this Mayavadi interpretation or impression that I and God become one.
Today, my first cousin brother, he is extremely deep into Ravi Shankar ji's.
Yes, they're all impersonalists. They're not impersonalists are better. These are Mayavadis. They think Krishna's form is Maya. They are God, but Krishna is not God. He is under the modes. That's their philosophy. That's why they call Mayavad. Prabhupada said these are rascals. They only deserve to go to hell.
तो मोदी जी तो भगवान से ऊपर हो गए.
So whenever you hear Mayavad, make sure don't pay more attention, because already we are infected with the disease to become God. And if somebody gives you a license that you're God, वो तो फिर disease तो आराम से वर्धन होगा. Make sense what I'm saying? Everybody in this world is trying to become number one. Basically number one कौन है? Krishna है. Number one बनना मतलब you're competing with Krishna. So this disease has brought us here. And if you make a philosophy that actually you're God, so you will see that kind of philosophy will very closely echo with our mentality. That is why Prabhupada said, Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi bhashya shunle hoila sarvanash. That means if you hear this conception of truth in this way, it will disturb your devotion and may even make it stunt. So he said, if you hear someone saying, we'll become God, it's not a subject for us to contemplate and meditate, because it is so inherently there in us. That is why Prabhupada keeps hammering, आप भगवान नहीं हो, आप दास हो, दास हो. Somebody may saying, Prabhupada, we know it, why are you repeating so much? It's because the infection is so much, it needs to be said. But default system is the infection. You got to keep, what do you call, hammering it. So this philosophy of saying you're God, I'm God, you're God, will become God. This is Mayavadi. And a good amount of schools are of this conception. And that is why whenever somebody comes up with a philosophy, I always ask, okay, what is the conclusion of their understanding? What do they want to reach? What is the goal they want to reach?
You are God, then where to be?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The moment they say, I want to merge with the Lord and become God, then you know we are at the wrong place.